Hey, how you doing? Okay, let's do it to it. We're gonna go over a game. Perfect, okay. White is actually the higher level player here, but white actually gets defeated, so black wins. So d4, d5, bishop f5, f4, c5, c3. This is a London system. Knight f6, e3, and then c4. Actually, at this point, white, in my opinion, is much better. He played knight d2. I'm thinking knight f3 is actually best. So knight d2, knight b3. So there's takes. Now you have a more compact pawn structure. So this actually is better for white here, because we have one pawn chain, and black only has black has two. Knight bd2 was knight d2 was played. Knight c6, bishop e3, bishop f5, knight gf3, e6, and then bishop g3. Bishop e7, and I think this is about, at this point here, this is at about close to an equal position, because if you could, in theory, try to win the knight, the bishop here, the bishop here, then you have the pawn. No, you really wouldn't want to do the pawn push. Sorry about that. Now that I think about it, delete move. You could actually do here, and then if white castles, then you have that attack, and then so knight e5. Now I think black's actually better here now positionally. Knight e4, knight d2, knight takes g3, h takes g3, f6, knight takes, and pawn takes. Of course, those are forcing moves. Then you have g3 or g4, bishop g6, f4, a5, knight f3. In theory, white should be okay here. a4, a3, and then c5. Knight h5, or h4, knight e8. Sorry, queen e8, not knight e8. I'm thinking potentially taking here might, and then if queen takes, you potentially have queen d2. If the rook slides over, I guess you could at this point play there and hook up. Just gotta be careful. You played f5. E takes, G takes, and then bishop f7. Bishop g4. C takes d. Queen takes d. Bishop d6. Knight f3. Rook b8. And he's trying to go after this here. Queen d2. Queen e4. Bishop bishop check. King e2. Takes f. And bishop takes check. And rook takes. So now you're going to be able to double up here. You're going to be able to double up on the b file. I think black's actually not winning here on the spot almost. Black's totally crushing white. A to f1. And then surprisingly, bishop rotates b2 is smashing. It's all over. Because if you he actually resigned here. If he plays there, you have actually I believe mate 1. Right here is mate 1. We'll try one more. C4. The player who's white's actually the lower rated player here versus the higher rated player. A5, knight C3, knight F6, and this kind of like dominates and sets up potentially for D4 or D5. G3 to be able to fianchetto along here. D5, bishop G2, C6, pawn C6, and this is to cover the central pawns, so that if C takes D4, C takes D4, and he's still got central control. E3, with the trying to expand in the center with D4. Bishop E7, C takes D, C takes D, and knight G, E2. This is getting ready for D4, but you got to be careful that you don't allow kind of reverse advanced variation of the French for black. Maybe white having the advanced variation, but advanced on him. Castles, knight C6, D4, and see now white's trying to break the center, crunch it open. There we go. There's the advanced reversed advanced variation of the French. So black's actually, in my opinion, equal here. Is equal at this point because now black has the space. And how is white going to break down black's central bind? It's going to be really, really, really hard. So I don't know if he'll be able to break it. A3, and then bishop G4. Now he's actually stopped something similar to this. H3, bishop takes knight, queen takes, and then rook C8. So, oops, rook C8. Black's trying to get control of the open file. F3. Now, white's trying to break that black usually does in the French. Black usually plays F6. White needs to play F3, which is the reverse. Bishop D6. This attacks the pawn on G3 and puts some pressure on that diagonal. He plays G4. Rook E8. F takes E4. Kind of, you have to go for that type of a break. E takes, knight takes, and then D takes. White does have a passed pawn. This is a weakness, serious weakness. Really, it's going to be hard to go after because there's not. Black actually got rid of white's knights for a purpose. This is going to be an embedded pawn for a long time because you really can't get queen to c2 because the knight would actually, there'd be a tactic knight takes d4 and you're in a world of hurt at that point. So let's see, 16. Let me see here, where are we? Bishop d2. Bishop d7. Let's see, where are we? 17, okay. Bishop d7, bishop b8. Bishop h1. I have no idea what. Let me see what could be that idea. That really doesn't make much sense. I'm not sure what White's celebrating with that move. Bishop d6. Rook f4 to gum up the position, but he has g5, which is a really killer move. He plays knight takes d. Rook takes d, okay. Oh, rook takes pawn there. Oh. That makes sense. Okay. So knight takes d4. Knight takes d4. Queen f. And if he plays here, of course, you pick up the. Oops, sorry, you can't pick that up. A little too hasty there on my part. A little too hasty. Rook c d8. Rook takes. Rook takes. Bishop c2. Queen g3. Bishop takes. Bishop takes. King g2. Bishop b5. b3, g6. h4. Yeah, he's completely lost here. White, black is king sorry, actually h4. Rook d6. King h3. 94. Rook F1 and Rook D2, and it's actually game over at this point. It's not really much White can do. Black's actually dominated at this point because he's threatening checkmate on H2. Okay, good. Then let's do some puzzles now since we're all here. Do some chess puzzles. We'll see how many we can get under our belt. I'm having a phone time today. Okay, let's see here. Queen on G, rook here. Pawn. Let's do the pawns. One right there, and one right there. We got a king. We got a king. And now it's white to move a mate in two. And white to move a mate in two. Can you solve it? White to move mate in two. Let's see if you can, my friend, solve this puzzle. There's actually two mates here. There is two mates, one move. Can you find it? Yes, yes. No. I was looking at that. That is an interesting one. But could you find anything more forcing than that? That would work too. Oh wait, yeah, good. No, I think you're right. I think you're right. Sorry about that. Mine's mate 3. You're right. Not rook G2. Oh, wait a second. Maybe I'm. Hold on. Let me see if. That's mate. That's mate. Yep, mine does work mate too. And I'll give you an opportunity to do it. Okay, I'll give you another opportunity. What's the move for white mate 2? I got rid of it so that you would have an opportunity to do it. If you got it, put it in. Oh, it does work. It does work. It does work, but you have to find the right move first. Put the 2 mates in and then we'll move on. I'll give you I'm giving you an opportunity to put it in so that you can solve it. Rook Queen H3 and Rook F4 does work. Okay, this is the move. Queen H2. If Rook F1, if King F1, Rook G1 is mate. And if King F3, Rook G4 is mate. Alright, onward to the next one we will go. Onward to the next one we will go. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Onward. Onward and upward. Yes. Okay, so same idea. Wow. I need a white pawn. Gotta get rid of that rook. I mean that knight, not the rook. The knight comes there. The rook comes there. The king comes here, and then we are good to go. White to move. Takes a little bit of time to get used to doing that. You should be able to see this one. This one should be a smack dab right there. You shouldn't miss this one. Think Arabian mate, Arabian mate, Arabian mate. What are the pieces for an Arabian mate? And how do you set it up? So we do know our Arabian mates. Yes, you do. Nice job. And you can do the Arabian mate, I believe. Let me see. I don't think we could do it Can we do it the other way? I don't think so. Nope. I think there's only one mate here. Yep. So there's only one mate here. Good job on finding that mate. Let us head on up to another one. Yes, sir. There's a pawn there. A rook here. No pawn there. A king here. A king there. And then I think a rook, if I'm not mistaken. No, another knight. Yeah. Oops, I have to move the knights up a little bit. Bang, there we go. We should have it now. Let us see if you can find the mate. Can you find check mate? The Arabian mate, oh Arabian mate, isn't it great? That's a hint. Let's see if you can solve this, my chess friends. Chess cruncher friends. What do you think it is, Ari? What do you think it is? Ah, very well chosen. Very well chosen. Nice. Nice. I think the Arabian song kind of gave it away. Shouldn't have done that one. Gotta have a little fun with life. That's what I realize. The Lord is always great. Oops. You have to rely on the Lord. There we go. Okay. This should be the setup here, my friends. Mate 2 is good for you. This one's kind of an interesting one. You have to look for the move. Be on the lookout. You have to see what's there before it's. You have to be able to visualize the end result and then work back from it. I know you have what it takes, my friends. No, that hangs upon if you played knight g3, he'd play king takes f2, so that you're giving up your pawn and you need that pawn. So try it again. Think even deeper, even deeper, and visualize where you want the position to be, and then move that piece to it. It's a mate 2. Like what you said last night, Erie, they already did the hard work for us. Now all we gotta do is find the position. Yeah. Give me a second, I'll be right back. Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. Nice job. Nice job. That was a boom. That deserves a boom. Yeah. Nice work. Oh yeah. That was sweet. I'm trying to see, is there any other mates here? I don't think so. I think that's the only mate. Yeah. Hey, you know what? You saw it though. That's all that matters. Is you've got the touch, like on the Transformers song. And that gives you the power of visualization. So, wow, there's two knights and a rook. Whoa. Wow, black's getting totally swarmed here. Wow. Wow, this is pretty impressive here. Look at all the pieces that are swarming around black. Mate 2. There can't but be a mate here somewhere. Let's see here. Looking at this is interesting. Let's see if we can. Let's see, is there any idea of mates that we got here? Let's see, check. If if rook c4, king b4. I mean b3. Then I don't really see any more. I don't see a mate, so that's not good. Queen b1. I think you're right. I think that's a forced move. He has to actually. Well, I gotta say, if he moves here, yeah, that does mate, doesn't it? Yep, that is mate. Good job there. Cause that's a tough one to find. You have to be able to visualize that the rook has to move to b2. Because what we're threatening is actually potentially, if he plays here, we actually have a mate, right? Oh, nope, that's not mate. Why is it? Oh, because of there, okay. So if here, maybe it's not mate. Maybe we're missing something here. I think this stops mate. I think we're missing something. If he does play that there, that would be mate. But are we missing? If he plays rook to c2, are we missing anything here? I think we are. We have a problem with king to d2. So I think we might have a let me see if we're on the right track at all. So if we attack there, king takes. Ah. Wasn't that a hard one? They were all forcing moves though. We just have to be able to find it. It's just gonna get tougher too, so I look forward to the challenge. Alright. This is it. This is it. Make no mistake. Should I have this? Yep. Yep, that's it. Yep, there you go. Kaboom. Nice job. Let's make sure though that that's the move that, if we're right, I believe it is. I believe this is the move. Let's see. Yep, yay, we got it. We got it. Hip hip hooray. Happy day. Alright, so we got a knight. pawn, a king, a pawn, a rook. Oops. A pawn, a rook. There we go. So we have it now. Wow. He's 2 pawns from queening. Whoa, he's got 2 queenie pawns, but it's too little too late. Let's finish it. Let's finish this thing. Too little too late. Deliver mate. Mate 2. This is crazy. This is a crazy move. Oh, you gotta love this move. You gotta love this move. This is like so cool of a move. Oh man, you gotta laugh when you're gonna laugh when you see. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the move. That is it. Yeah, yeah. Turns into a queen. And then it's mate. Can you imagine that? Whoa, yeah. All right. Oh yeah. Happy day. That was so cool. That was cool. You have to love that. You gotta love that. Not sure if this is kind of a tough one here. Let me make sure I have it put in there right. Yep. 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 That's right. Uh, but he's gonna actually play King H3. Yep. That's it. King F3 is mate. King F3. If he goes King F3, it's mate on F4. So if he goes King here, that's checkmate. He goes here. There's mate here. There's mate here. So there's 4 different mates. Actually 5 different mates. 4 different mates. There's a 4th. There's 4. King e2 leads to 4 different mates. King f3, f there's check. King h3, queen f5's mate. King h2, queen f5 is mate, and queen h4 is mate. So there's 4 of them. Whoa! That was a tough spot. Good work. Hurrah. Alright. Let's do it here. Excuse me. Alrighty then. Let's deliver mate. What if when you play knight f8, then he goes king e8. I was gonna propose. What do you think about b8 equals knight check? What do you think about that? Would that help out? Throwing a hint out. I'm thinking that's right. Let's see here. If he comes there, let's see here. See, that doesn't work because if we try queening, he's got a spot to flee to. Wow. Three mates. That was a tough one. They're just gonna get tougher, but we're ready. We got what it takes. So we gotta step it up and go all in. No mercy on the tactics. We have to go all in. There we go. Yeah, slice and dice for sure. This one's like a give me. This is like right in your face. This should be, I think. Maybe I'm missing some. I think I am. Hold on. Hold on. No, that I was thinking Queen F4, but then that doesn't work because King takes E1. That undefends the knight on E1. Knight. Well, actually, there is the knight move. What the knight move is right, but not that move. Knight D3 check, and knight takes D3. Try a different knight move. No, maybe I'm wrong. Hold on, let me see. Maybe I'm missing something here. No, I think we are missing something. It's not a knight move. Sorry, not a knight move. Think bishop. Think bishop. That should be that should give a hint away. Think bishop. uh. The hint is, what is the bishop to black's king? It's pinned, right? So what do you do to a pinned piece that's an absolute pin? What do you do to a pinned piece that's an absolute pin? What do you usually do to it? Bishop C3. Yeah, F3. Yep. Bishop F3. You are right on the money. Yeah. Hooray, hooray. If he plays there, that's mate. Nice job. If you play here, that's mate. If he plays here, that's mate. Anywhere, any one of these things here. Oops, sorry. There. And that's mate. So there's 6 different mates. Nice find. Good job. Good work. That was a tough one, huh, Erie? Yeah, we were working on that for just a little bit, but we got it solved with Chess Cruncher teamwork. As a team, we can do it. Yes, we can. And when you have the Lord on your side, oops, come on. Who can stand against you? Because if he's with you, you are unbeatable. Do 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 do. All right. I think this is right. Let me give it a quick look through. White to move and mate 2. Hey, how you doing? Chess 360. This one's like, hello. You have to be able to see this one. This one should be, there's only one move that actually does work, so. So that's a hint right there. There's only one move that does work. Otherwise, all the other moves are stalemate. Don't stalemate the king. Yep. Kaboom. Good job, good job. You saw the move. Great work. Great work, team. Hoo-yah. One more, then we start our end game course. Oh yeah, loving it. White to move. Checkmate and 2. White to move. Oops, I have to mark where we left off. Yep, that's it. That is mate. Nice work. Kaboom, mate. Nice job, nice job. Okay, after a race where we were. Alright. On to endgame now. Hooray. Let's do our endgame. Gotta love the endgame. Do you remember kinda where the black king has to be so that this will actually work here? Do you remember where the black king has to be so this will actually be a pure Lucinda? Where does the king have to be? Where does this king have to be? How many squares away? Well, I just wanted to quiz you for what we learned last night. How many squares away does black have to be for white to win? How far does he have to be cut off? Yep, there you go. You got it. Nice job. Great work, Erie. So, would this be considered a win or a draw? That is 3 squares away. I mean, 3 ranks away. Yep, there you go. You have just learned the rook on the 7th, the rook on the 2nd, Lucinda, how to actually win or know what to draw. You have saved yourself so much headache in an endgame by getting that down. Great work. Okay, this is actually the setup. So this, you are 100% right. This will actually end up being a draw. Great job. Black is close enough to trap white's monarch in the corner. Rook to h1 by white. King d7. Rook h8. Of course, rook at h7 doesn't help because it only helps black get to his location. So rook there, king c7, and then rook h rook b8, rook h2, rook b7 check, and king. I wanted to ask you, what is the only move that draws for black here? There's only one move that draws for black, and and it's an exclam. If you can find it, you've found an exclam move. I'm gonna give it to you to think about. What move does black want to play here that's an exclam and automatically does a draw? There's only one move. Yep, king c8. You're doing great. Y'all are doing great right now. That's an exclam move. That's tough because you're thinking, oh no, I'm almost got no squares left. Can he just check? Yeah. Rook b1. Rook b1 here. Not rook b8. Sorry, rook b1. White's last chance to get his king out is to try to play rook c1 check. So black ends all that hope with what move? What move does black do to end any of white's hope? What move? And it's an exclam move. You got to think deep. Black to move and secures a permanent draw. Rook c2. That is exactly right. Congratulations on finding that move. That is another exclam move. Nice work. All of White's dreams and hopes have been shattered. It is so sad. White now has nothing better to do than to put his hand out or wait 50 moves for a draw. That is so sad. So sad. Let's do another one. The rook pawn tends to be a bother for most attackers and a joy for most defenders. So it's a bother for most attackers, but a joy for most defenders. Is this a draw or a win for White? Is this a draw or a win for White? Oops, sorry about that. That was my bad. I gotta make it into a study. A draw or a win for black? I mean, draw or a win for White? Is it a draw or is it a win? What do you think, Erie? A win or a draw? You are right. And this is why it's a win. When the rook is trying to shepherd a pawn down the board, its dream is to be behind the passed pawn and help push it. Note how White's rook is a tower of strength that helps to push the pawn home. And so, like, if we were to play this move here, and now this is a one game. This wins. This is winning here. So we gotta pull up another board. Both sides should try to get their rooks behind the passed pawn. So that's what Jeremy Silman was talking about here. Is this right here a win or a draw for White? Win or a draw? What do you think, Erie? The draw or a win? You agree, a draw. Okay. You both are right. This means that the defender having one rook behind the enemy pawn is enormously important. To illustrate that, let's take the previous diagram, quite hopeless for black. Then put White's rook behind, Black's rook behind the pawn, and White's rook in front of the pawn. So they're doing role reversal. White can't win because Black has the ideal defensive stance from a rook, while White's rook is stuck cornered, guarding its pawn. White's only chance is to defend the pawn with his king. then bring the rook out, but this fails. So we'll see how it fails miserably. Rook a2. There's many more moves you can try. He says, for example, if you wanted to play king g7, also does the job well. Rook c1, and then king b6, rook b1 check. Excuse me. Rook c5, and rook c1 is quite sufficient to hold a draw. He's saying if king b4, rook b1. If you play queen c, and then you play rook c1, then you're actually this is a blunder. This is actually a losing move. King. Oops, hold on. I did that wrong. 1 second. Rook c. Not rook b5. Sorry. My bad. Rook b4. Rook here, and then rook here. This is the double question mark. Because this now actually this wins when all of a sudden black's rook isn't able to get behind the passed pawn anymore. So you can actually, if you can cover a1, and you allow this rook to do a check here, you can win. Let me see here. Rook c7, rook h8 check, king takes, and then you just queen would check. And theoretical win, that's a bit too complex for our present course of study at this moment. Remember, we figured this out. You have to cut the king off, and then get to a square where you can fork both. You want to be able to fork the rook and the king, so you want to get on a square and check. There's also, he says, another way to lose. If rook a5 is played here, this is also a blunder. This move is also a blunder too, since this lets white attack the rook and guard his pawn right here. This actually allows him to potentially bring his rook out. And then eventually what will happen is you'll get inside there. King b6. The continuation would continue rook a1, rook b8. Freedom at last. His rook can finally act in part of the battle to promote the pawn. Rook b1 check. King c7. Rook c1 check. King b1, rook here, and then king there, and the rook has changed spots Now this rook can actually get into the fight. Rook g1, rook b7, and remember, how many squares away is the king? He's more than what away for it to... Wait, the black has to be more than how many away? In a rook Lucinda? 4, yay! Nice job. Great work there. You got it. h6, and then king b8, threatening to queen, so rook g1, rook g8, king c, rook g7, king b6, rook g6, king a5, and rook to g1. If he checks, rook g1 was actually played, but I just want to show you, if he checks here, here, and then here, you now have a Lucinda type of setup, and so he's losing at this point. So he has to play here, so that he threatens. If you were to queen here, that would be a blunder, because then he can actually play rook to a1. Last trick, no better, is we already showed that. So rook b6 check, king h7, and then king a6. And since rook a1 check, king b7, and if rook g and if rook g8, rook b7 check, king h6, rook b8, and then g6, and then rook pins the rook, and it's game, set, and match at that point. So let's now do it to it. So b6, b2 check. In these positions, wherever the king touches, whenever the king touches the pawn, try to free it. Trying to free its rook. The defender should smack it away immediately with a check. So you need to say, don't do that. Don't do that. No, no, no. You're not going to touch that pawn. No, 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 no. Because if you touch that pawn, you're going to be in trouble, mister. The defending rook needs to be behind the passed pawn. Failing to do so will allow the stronger rook to get out of its cage. So yeah, so the defending rook needs to be behind the enemy passed pawn. So always remember that. If you're defending Lucinda, rook Lucinda, try to get your pawn behind the enemy's pawn, and don't let it get out of the cage. Keep it leashed up there, and that's what this move does. Rook a2. We don't even let. We're not. You're like, don't. You know what? We'll go back. We're like, hey, you can run around the board. Just run around the entire board you want. You have all these squares to run around and be free in. Just, you know what? Have a picnic. Run around all these squares, but don't you dare try to touch that pawn. Don't you dare try to touch that pawn. Every time you come in, I'm gonna say denied, and that's kind of what happens. Like when he plays b7, denied. So he gets denied. It's like, oh no, I can't even help that he goes, okay, you can have your squares again, but don't even think about coming to these two squares. Don't even think about coming to those two squares. If you do, I'm gonna bring the rook to b2 and check you away, my friend. White's unsurmountable problem is now clear. Black will check white's king whenever it touches the pawn. Then, when the king pawn contact is lost, the rook will leap back behind the pawn, leaving white with no way to get his rook out, so that he doesn't have enough to get his rook out. So if let me see here. So if he tries something like this again, we just check. White should just shake hands and accept a draw here. It's often critically important to get your rook behind the passed pawn, but your passed pawn or your opponent's passed pawn. So if you get your pawn behind here, if white gets there and the rook's here, you win. If black gets the rook here and you're here, it's a draw. So let us start in a new board. You have to flip the board a little bit. Okay. Here, black should just move his rook back and forth along the A file. Or he can just break the monarch by doing a little, basically, you could do a little dance. Do 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 up the board. Just dance up the board, dance back down the board, dance back down the board. Like that, just dance. But don't ever leave this here. Okay. Obviously, the voice of greed draws many chess players in. How do you take advantage of this move here, my friends? I'll have to get it ready. How do you take advantage of this move here? My chess cruncher friends, how do you take advantage of it? Ah, great job. You have solved it. You have solved it. Great job. Because now if he takes, you do a skewer and you win. The trap is sprung. White threatens to queen, and A takes loses, and black must resign. This tactical idea is extremely important in this kind of endgame. It influences and affects every type of Rook Lucinda setup. So congratulations on finding that. Many A players have fallen victim to this trap, so always be on a lookout for it. That's what Jeremy Silman says. You can also see that potentially if your opponent plays this move as well, if he plays Up here, do you kind of see the idea too? This is also a question mark. What is the double question mark? What's the move here? Yep. And now, when he moves here, you queen, and he has to take, and then when he takes, you're winning. Okay, let's see what Jeremy Silman has to say about this. There's a lot of words when you get more advanced. He gets more descriptive, so you gotta bear with me. Sometimes it's a little hard to read his description. It's very complex, but I enjoy how he talks. As we can see, having a pawn on the 7th rank with a rook in front of it is a double-edged sword, like what the word says. A double-edged sword that divides, that goes out this way, and it also comes back. Double-edged sword. On one hand, it dooms your rook to passivity. On the other, it forces Black's king to an everlasting prison on h7 or g7. So otherwise, the above tactic ends matters quickly, like what you said, Chess 360. This brings up an important question. If Black gets his rook behind the pawn with your rook in front of it, but the pawn is only on the 6th rank, should you push to the 7th or leave it where it is? Pushing to the 7th creates an instant draw. Let's do this one here. I'll show you. We're going to pull up a whole nother board. Alright. Board editor number 2. This is white. Push or not to push? That's what he said. If you push the pawn to a7, it's an instant draw here. The previous example should have convinced you of this. Because White's rook would remain forever passive, and any attempt to defend the pawn with the White king would fail, because Black's rook would just check it away and return to the defensive position behind it. The real question is here: how can White try to win? It turns out that White has many type of advantages. Number one, his king can easily break Black's blockade on the second by skittering over to b1. That's a potential way of doing it. 2, when the pawn is on the 7th, White's king would have nowhere to hide. With the pawn on the 6th, the king can hide in front of the pawn on the 7th. And on a7, this finally frees the a8 rook. And number 3, Black's king is forever stuck on h7 or g7, since any attempt to rush to the queenside fails to a well-timed a6, when the poor king would be stuck in no man's land. So those are the 3 things. If need be, I'll show you. I have to make this into a study. So give me a second. Okay, the White king could come over here, cause some problems. The White king could get here and cause some problems. If this king ever moved, with the right timed a7, the rook can come over to h8 and basically cause that what chess 360 said. And all these factors make it sound as if white should prevail. And if black tries to maintain his rook position behind the passed pawn, white will indeed be able to claim victory with the first move, king f1, king h7. So he's got a, I mean, right there, note that the black king can't participate in the defense. If he plays f7 here, king e1, if he tries king e7, this is actually disastrous. If you try it, be careful though. If you pushed here at this moment, this move here is actually an exclam move. This move is an exclam move here. The king coming back, that move is exclam. This move right here, a double question mark. I'm going to ask you, what would you do here if you were white? What move would you play here if you were white? This gets an exclam. This is an exclam move. You are white. What move would you play? That is 100% right. Exclam, and you, my friends, would win the game. This is winning. He doesn't have enough time to beat tail back to avoid. If he tries to go king f7, it's too late, too little, too late. Because now if you take here, you lose the rook. But you got to be careful. Don't get tempted when he plays e1. That's him enticing you. If you play a7 right now, he'll just go back and then exclam. And then he's holding the position. It's a dead draw, and you've wasted hours of your dedicated time to having a lost position, a lost endgame. Not a lost endgame, but a drawn endgame. And we don't want to draw. We want to win. So we don't want that to happen. All right. So let's get back to this. So king e1, g7, of course, back and forth, away we go. King a5. I mean rook a5. I believe that's right. Let me see. Hold on. Nope. Hold on. I apologize. I think I overstepped there. Let me see. King d1. H7. That's right. Okay. King c1. King g7. King b1. Finally breaking black's blockade. Rook a5. King b2, and up the board we go. The king is free, you know, and the crowd goes wild. Woo! Rook a2, or a4. King b3. The king's doing the tango. He's going up the board. He's like, I'm coming. Just hold on. Daddy's coming. Rook b1. King b4, and the king's going right up the board. It's like going, don't worry, I'm running, I could get there. King f7. Black doesn't intend to go too far. He sees that the immediate a5 is safely answered to by there. So if we played this right here would be an exclam, so we're not going to do that. King b5 is actually played here. Promote variation. This would actually be a mistake, and this would be a exclam. This would be a blunder. defending the pawn and threatening to free the rook to the A7, A8 rook. Rook B1 check, King C6, Rook C1, King B7, Rook B1 check, and then King A7. Now, White's king has reached the safe haven of A7. The king, King E7, Rook A1, Rook B8, Rook A1, Rook B6. Hold on, what am I doing? Hold on, sorry about that. Not Rook A1. That's funny. Not Rook G1. Rook here. Rook here, and then Rook B6. King D7. And since Black must resign now when he plays King B7 here, since the pawn's gonna just waltz right up the board. Let's see how we doing on our time. Let's see, hold on. Let's just take a look. Yeah, alright. Okay, I think probably we may call it on this because I don't want to get into, there's a bigger section that we have to get into based on the Lucinda. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions on this? Any questions? 360? Chess 360? Okay. Wanted to thank you for logging on and participating. Yeah, that was a pretty intense position, to say the least, right there. How if your pawn gets to A7, if it's a rook pawn, it's a draw if your rook's in front of it. But if your pawn is on A6, which is a rook pawn, and you're able to break the barricade, then you can actually win that because you have a flight square for your king to be sheltered away from. And then the 4 rank setup, you have to be at least 4 away so that you can win if your king's stuck. We learned that. And we also learned that you have to be careful even in when a rook's in front of the pawn. If your king strays a little too far away from the corner, black's king, even though he's defending, you can set up a skewer and win via that. So always be on the lookout for those. But like what Yasser says, every long journey begins with one small step. So that's huge. You know what? We got to take our first small step. We're doing that in our end game. We're in A-class level right now, and we're learning and improving. And Bruce Lee said, I fear not the person who has practiced 10,000 individual kicks, but I fear the person who has practiced 10,000 kicks once. One kick 10,000 times. So that's who he feared, was the one who had practiced one kick 10,000 times, because when they kick, they're right on the money. And I like what Tom Thumb Thumb told Tango, which was, treasure your victories and learn from your losses, and remember that mistakes do not define you. It's how you handle the mistake that defines you as a chess player and as a person in the field of your studies. like Bruce Lee also said, knowing is not enough, you must apply, and willing is not enough, you must do. You have to. He also said a really good saying that you have to remember there are no limits, there are plateaus, and you must not stay there. You must go beyond the plateau that you're at right now. And there's a saying that says hard work will actually defeat talent because talent won't work. So that's the sad thing, because talented players, for some reason, it comes really easy, but hardworking chess players will beat talented players because the sad thing is the Lord's given those players a gift, and they take it for granted. But the ones that aren't talented in that area will work overtime and get all the end games learned, and they'll defeat talented players because talented players will take for granted the natural talent the Lord's given them. So don't do that. Don't ever do that. Don't ever take for granted the talent the Lord's given you, because you never know when He'll take it away. So you know what? He did it to Job, and He can do it to anybody. So just keep that in mind. And you know what? And when He's with you, who can stand against you? But you know what? We become what we think about, like what E. Nightingale said. And we have to always keep in mind what Rusty said in Little Train. If you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. Either way, you're right. So same thing. And remember, always keep your grounds well weeded. Don't let the weeds grow in your grounds. You'll regret it later on. Trust me. You want to go for that title. The title is so great. So always remember that. That you know what, when you get a title, you can then either write a book, or you can teach others about chess, like on Chess Cruncher. Or what you could do is honor the Lord with it too, so that you can tell people about chess, and also tell them about the Lord. So that's always a great thing. So that'd be a win-win right there. And just have fun. And remember, when most are playing or doing whatever, and you're actually studying and you're taking your natural talent and building on it with hard work, it's like it's like nitros. You know what? You put it in the nitro, and then you go super speed. So, and when they come over and ask you what you're doing, you can say you have the permission from Chess Cruncher TV to say, I'm a chess cruncher. What's a chess cruncher? And then you can say a chess cruncher hangs up their coat, hangs up their hat, sits down and studies when most won't. A chess cruncher does, and that makes all the difference. And as Wesley So says to the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless. I'll see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening, and Lord willing, I'll be back on tomorrow. And we'll keep pushing forward and learning more about Rook Lucinda, and how to handle it, and so that we don't make mistakes if we're the one who is defending. Great job, and go Team Chess Cruncher! Hoorah! Be blessed. And if you like what you see and you're still on following, listening, please click the follow, and you're more than welcome to join us on our journey of improving as chess players. Great job. Go Team Chess Cruncher! Hoorah! Be blessed, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.